I still remember the moment my sister Amanda walked across that stage, her honors cord swinging as my parents beamed with pride. 4 years of college, culminating in that perfect moment they had always dreamed about. I sat 3 rows behind them thinking about how my father had laughed when I told him I was skipping college to start my online business. Playing on computers is not a real career, he had said. They had no idea what was coming at her graduation party later. If you are watching this right now, drop a comment letting me know where you are tuning in from. Hit that like button and subscribe to hear how I turned their mockery into the most satisfying moment of my life. Growing up in our middle-class suburban home in Connecticut, I was always the odd one out. While most kids were playing sports or watching cartoons, I was mesmerized by computers. By age 10, I had taken apart and reassembled our family desktop 3 times, much to my parents' dismay. My sister Amanda, 2 years younger, was the academic superstar bringing home perfect report cards that earned prime real estate on our refrigerator. My parents, Thomas and Judith Wilson, were both products of traditional education. Dad was an accountant who worked his way up at the same firm for 25 years. Mom taught high school English and graded papers at our kitchen table every evening. They valued conventional success above all else, which meant good grades, prestigious universities, and respectable careers. The contrast in how they treated Amanda and me became impossible to ignore as we grew older. When Amanda turned 13, Dad spent an entire weekend building her a custom study nook in her bedroom, complete with built-in bookshelves and a window seat. I got his old desk from the basement when he upgraded his home office. Mom never missed a single one of Amanda's debate competitions, driving hours to watch her compete and taking dozens of photos. But when I qualified for the state technology fair with my coding project in 10th grade, she sent me with our neighbor because she had papers to grade. Our family celebrations followed a similar pattern. Amanda's academic achievements warranted special dinners out and phone calls to relatives. My website design awards and programming certificates received polite nods and quick congratulations before conversation shifted back to my sister. Despite this, my passion for technology only grew stronger through high school. While other teens were partying, I was teaching myself Java, Python, and web development. I built websites for local businesses for small fees and began developing simple mobile games by junior year. The breaking point came during my senior year, when college applications were due. My parents had been saving for our education since we were born, and they had big plans for me to attend a prestigious university with a strong business program. I will never forget sitting at our dining room table, college brochures spread before me as I explained my alternative plan. I wanted to use my portion of the college fund as seed money for an online business I had been conceptualizing for months. The laughter started with my father, a dismissive chuckle that grew into full-blown mockery. "Playing on computers is not a real career, Bailey," he said, shaking his head. "You need a degree to succeed in this world." Mom was more diplomatic, but equally dismissive. "Honey, the internet is full of people trying to make it big. The odds are against you. A degree is something no one can ever take away." Their lack of faith hurt more than I let on, but it also strengthened my resolve. After 3 more months of arguments, ultimatums, and cold shoulders, I made the painful decision to move out with only $3,000 I had saved from my small tech jobs. I found a cramped apartment with a roommate named Jackson, a culinary student who worked nights at a local restaurant. He knew nothing about technology, but became the first person to genuinely support my dream. "At least one of us should be doing what they love," he would say, after returning from another grueling restaurant shift. The first year of building my business was a brutal education in persistence. My days started at 6 in the morning and often ended after midnight. I took any freelance web development jobs I could find, building restaurant websites, small business landing pages, and e-commerce stores for local shops. I lived on instant ramen and free coffee from the tech meetups I attended religiously. My first small victory came when a local boutique owner was so pleased with her website that she paid me $500 and referred me to 3 other businesses. I remember staring at that check, feeling a momentary validation before reality set in again. $500 barely covered 2 weeks of rent and food. Family gatherings became exercises in emotional endurance. That first Thanksgiving after moving out, I sat through 3 hours of relatives asking about college, and my parents deflecting with vague comments about me taking time to figure things out. "You know," my mother said, as she passed the mashed potatoes, "the community college has a great computer science program. It is not too late to enroll for spring semester." Amanda, home from her first semester at an Ivy League university, innocently made things worse. "My programming professor says formal education in computer science is more important now than ever. The field is getting so competitive." Each comment felt like another small wound, but I swallowed my frustration with bites of turkey and forced smiles. The turning point in my professional journey came when I attended a local tech meetup and met Professor Wilson, a retired computer science teacher who had started 3 successful tech companies. He saw potential in my work and took me under his wing meeting weekly at a local coffee shop to review my business plans. "The real money," he explained during one of our sessions, "is not in building websites for others. It is in creating digital products that generate passive income or solve specific industry problems." Under his guidance, I began developing my first digital product, a productivity app for small business owners. I lived on instant ramen and free coffee from the tech meetups I attended religiously. My first small victory came when a local boutique owner was so pleased with her website that she paid me $500 and referred me to 3 other businesses. I remember staring at that check, feeling a momentary validation before reality set in again. $500 barely covered 2 weeks of rent and food. Family gatherings became exercises in emotional endurance. I lived on instant ramen and free coffee from the tech meetups I attended religiously. My first small victory came when a local boutique owner was so pleased with her website that she paid me $500 and referred me to 3 other businesses. I remember staring at that check, feeling a momentary validation before reality set in again. $500 barely covered 2 weeks of rent and food. Family gatherings became exercises in emotional endurance. During a conversation with a frustrated small retailer who complained about the limitations of existing e-commerce platforms, I identified a genuine market gap. Small specialty retailers needed customizable, affordable online selling solutions that integrated with their physical inventory systems. I began sketching what would become ShopStream, an e-commerce platform specifically designed for specialty retailers. The prototype took 3 months of 16-hour days fueled by determination and instant coffee. Finding customers was the next hurdle. I made a list of 100 small businesses and cold called each one offering free trials of my platform. 97 rejected me outright. 3 agreed to try it, and 1 became my first paying ShopStream customer. As I focused on growing my business, my relationship with my family deteriorated further. That Christmas, my parents' gift to me was a stack of college brochures with application deadlines highlighted. "We will still help with tuition," my father said, as if offering a lifeline to a drowning man. Amanda tried to mediate during her breaks from school. "They just worry about you," she explained during one of our rare sibling lunches. "Not everyone can succeed without a degree." Even her attempt at support carried the implicit assumption that I was on the wrong path. I began missing family events to work partly from necessity and partly to avoid the constant judgment. This only widened the gap as my absence was interpreted as rebellion rather than dedication. The business gradually gained traction. 6 months after launch, I had 27 specialty retailers using ShopStream. I landed my first major client, a regional chain of boutique stores with 12 locations, which doubled my monthly revenue overnight. This success allowed me to hire my first employee, Zoe, a talented developer who had dropped out of college for financial reasons. We worked from my apartment living room, taking turns at the single desk I had salvaged from a closing business. When I told my parents about hiring my first employee, their reaction was predictably dismissive. "It is just a phase before you start a real career," my father said. Mom added, "Everyone gets lucky sometimes, but luck does not last." That same week, Amanda made the dean's list again, and my parents took her out to celebrate. They did not invite me. The contrast between my business progress and my parents' continuing lack of faith strengthened my determination. Each dismissive comment became fuel for late-night coding sessions and early morning sales calls. I was not just building a business anymore. I was proving a point. ShopStream evolved rapidly over the next 18 months. We added AI-driven inventory management that predicted stock needs based on sales patterns, a feature that set us apart from larger competitors. Our client base grew to over 200 specialty retailers across the country. I expanded the team to 8 people, moving into our first real office space, a small but legitimate business address where clients could visit. Our growth attracted attention from Marcus Green, a venture capitalist who specialized in retail technology. During this period of expansion, I attended what would become the most painful family dinner yet. My parents had invited me over specifically, which was unusual enough to make me hopeful for reconciliation. Amanda was home from graduate school, having gone straight into a master's program after finishing her bachelor's in 3 years. The real purpose of the dinner became clear when my father cleared his throat after dessert. "We wanted to let you know that we have made a decision about the education fund," he said. "Since you have chosen not to use your portion, we are investing it all in Amanda's graduate studies." "You chose your path," my mother added with a tight smile. "We are investing in real success." Amanda looked uncomfortable but said nothing. The message was clear. After 3 years of building my business, they still considered it a temporary diversion, not a legitimate career. I left early, the relationship nearly broken beyond repair. The irony of timing was almost poetic. 2 weeks after that dinner, the CEO of Retail Revolution, a major corporation that provided services to national retail chains, contacted me. They had been watching ShopStream's growth and were interested in our technology. What followed was a whirlwind of meetings, due diligence, and negotiations. The final offer came in at $1.2 million for the acquisition of ShopStream, with me staying on as head of development for a generous salary. The night we closed the deal, my team celebrated at our office with champagne and takeout. Everyone was there, except the people who had raised me. The success I had achieved, which should have been shared with my family, felt hollow without their acknowledgement. Professor Wilson, who had witnessed my journey from the beginning, noticed my mixed emotions amid the celebration. "Success without reconciliation is incomplete," he said quietly. "Pride is a poor substitute for family peace." His words stayed with me as I received an invitation to Amanda's graduation ceremony and subsequent party. Despite the tension, I decided to attend. The ceremony itself was predictably celebrating of traditional achievement. I sat apart from my parents, who barely acknowledged my presence. Amanda received special recognition for her academic excellence, collecting honors that my parents had always valued above all else. As I watched her walk across the stage, I wrestled with complex emotions. I was genuinely proud of my sister, while simultaneously hurt by the contrast in how our different paths had been valued. More importantly, I had to decide how to approach the graduation party later that day. I spent hours debating my approach. Part of me wanted to arrive in my new luxury car, wearing an expensive suit, flaunting the very success they had dismissed. But that felt petty and would only widen the divide. Instead, I wrote a check to my parents for the exact amount they had spent raising me, calculated from old family budget documents Amanda had shared years ago. I included a note thanking them for giving me life and basic support, but noting that I had achieved success without their emotional investment. The graduation party was held at my parents' house, the same place where they had laughed at my dreams years earlier. Walking in, I noticed the whispers and stares from relatives who had heard snippets of our family drama, but not the full story. Amanda greeted me with genuine warmth, while my parents offered cold, polite acknowledgments. The defining moment came when my father raised his glass to toast my sister. Academic excellence has always been the path to success in this family, he said, looking directly at Amanda. We could not be prouder of the choices you have made and the prestige you have achieved. I took a deep breath and calmly interrupted as he finished. I would like to say something too, I said, my voice steady, despite my racing heart. The room fell silent as I stepped forward. First, congratulations to Amanda on your tremendous achievement. You have always been brilliant and dedicated. Then, I turned to address the room. Some of you may not know that while Amanda was excelling in her traditional path, I took a different route. 3 years ago, I started an online business that my parents dismissed as playing on computers. I saw my father shift uncomfortably as I continued. 2 weeks ago, that business was acquired for $1.2 million by Retail Revolution. The technology we developed will now be used by thousands of businesses nationwide. The shocked expressions around the room were satisfying, but Amanda's face showed something beyond surprise, genuine admiration. My parents stood frozen, their expressions, a complex mix of emotions I could not fully decipher. I removed an envelope from my jacket. Mom, Dad, this is a check repaying everything you invested in raising me. I wanted you to know that your other child, the one who did not follow your prescribed path, also found success. I placed the envelope on the table between us. Amanda deserved your support all along, but so did I. The room remained silent as my sister crossed to me and wrapped me in a genuine hug. I always knew you were smart, she whispered. Different from me, but never less. My parents stood speechless, pride and shame warring on their faces. The graduation party continued awkwardly after my announcement, with relatives suddenly interested in hearing about my business journey. Later that evening, I found myself alone with my parents on the back porch of the home where I grew up. My father, a man who had rarely shown emotion throughout my childhood, had tears in his eyes. I was wrong, Bailey, he said simply. I was so wrong. My mother tried to explain their perspective. We were terrified you were throwing your life away. Everything we knew about success came from traditional paths. We could not see any other way. Fear is not an excuse for withholding support, I replied, finally expressing the hurt I had carried for years. You did not have to understand my dream to believe in me. Despite the pain, that conversation marked the beginning of a slow healing process. We agreed to weekly family dinners where questions about my business were welcomed rather than dismissed. My father asked to see my office, and my mother started proudly telling her friends about my son, the entrepreneur. I used a portion of the acquisition money to launch ShopStream 2.0, an expanded platform with features for medium-sized retailers. I also created a scholarship for young tech entrepreneurs without college degrees, specifically designed to support unconventional paths to success. Equally important was establishing a new dynamic with Amanda. For years, we had been positioned as competitors rather than allies. Her academic achievements weaponized against my alternative choices. Now we found genuine friendship in our different strengths. I attended her doctoral thesis presentation with actual interest, and she consulted on user interface design for my new platform. Our parents learned gradually and sometimes awkwardly to value different paths to success. The holiday gathering, 6 months after Amanda's graduation, was the first where both our achievements were celebrated equally, with questions asked about both our chosen fields without implicit judgment. The process of personal healing took longer than business success. Overcoming years of resentment required more than external validation. I had to recognize that my parents' limited perspective came from love and concern, not malice. Their inability to see beyond traditional success metrics reflected their own upbringing and fears. At the same time, I learned that validation must ultimately come from within. The sweetness of proving them wrong was fleeting compared to the satisfaction of building something valuable that helped real businesses thrive. Success defined solely by others' recognition is hollow. Today, my relationship with my family has transformed. We have found mutual respect that once seemed impossible. My father recently asked me to help him invest some of his retirement savings in tech startups, a request that symbolized his complete turnaround. My mother has started learning basic coding to understand your world better, as she put it. Amanda and I have dinner together, monthly sharing challenges and victories from our vastly different professional lives. Last Christmas, she gave me a framed photo of us as children working on our first computer together with a note that read, "Always different paths, equal brilliance." The true measure of success is not found in degrees or dollars, but in staying true to your authentic self when the world, even those closest to you, tells you that you are wrong. The courage to follow your own path is rare, but it leads to a fulfillment that no amount of external approval can provide. Finding the balance between proving yourself and forgiveness is the most challenging and rewarding journey of all. If my story resonated with you in any way, I would love to hear about your own experiences with pursuing unconventional dreams. Have your loved ones supported your unique path, or did you also have to prove them wrong? Share your story in the comments below. Hit the like button if you found value in my journey, and subscribe to hear more tales of triumph against the odds. Remember to share this video with someone who might need encouragement to follow their own path even when no one believes in them. Thank you for listening, and never let anyone convince you that your dreams are not worth pursuing.